His hands are stained with the blood of more than 1,000 Iranians. In the 12-day war, over 1,000 of our compatriots, aside from commanders, scientists, and prominent figures, ordinary people were martyred. This person said, "I gave the orders I commanded during the war." That the Islamic Republic, a truly sovereign and independent nation, came to power through the immense sacrifice and precious blood of several 100,000 honorable, courageous, and dedicated people. And it will absolutely not back down or yield in the face of those who threaten the very existence and foundational principles of the Islamic Republic. It will absolutely not tolerate serving foreign interests or agendas. No matter who you truly are, if you become a mercenary for foreign powers, if you actively work for outsiders against the very nation itself, then there will be severe consequences. It does not tolerate serving foreign interests, no matter who you are. If you become a mercenary for foreigners, if you work for outsiders, the nation rejects you, and the Islamic system also rejects you.
Nationwide protests broke out in Iran over the Islamic Republic's economic downturn and collapse of its currency. On December 28, 2025, demonstrations erupted in two major downtown Tehran markets after Iran's rial fell to a record low of 1.42 million per US dollar, intensifying inflation and driving up the cost of food and other everyday essentials. Although early demonstrations centered on soaring food prices and the nation's extremely high inflation, protests have increasingly shifted to openly calling for the toppling of the government, and Iran's adversary, Israel's close ally, the US, has quite a lot of expertise in this regard. Iran does not seek war with Israel or the United States, but will respond if attacked again, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said loud and clear on January 8th. He added that Tehran is open to nuclear talks with Washington if negotiations are based on mutual respect. The remarks come amid fears of renewed Israeli strikes following last summer's brief 12-day war and America's deadly attacks on Iranian nuclear sites.
We are fully and completely prepared for any conceivable situation at all times.
We
do not just seek war.
But we, however, do indeed.
We are truly ready for it. However, we are truly always ready for negotiations.
However, we are indeed fully prepared and ready for comprehensive negotiations regarding this matter.
However, the negotiations we are referring to must be based on mutual respect and on the basis of mutual interests.
Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on January 9th addressed the public amid ongoing protests in the country. At the very start of his address, he blasted the US president over attacks on Iran last year in support of Israel and asked him to focus on his own country. The 86-year-old leader declared that the Islamic Republic would not retreat in the face of protests. He warned that actions serving foreign powers would not be tolerated. Khamenei added that those aligned with outside forces would be rejected by both the public and the state.
They were actively engaged in widespread destruction, causing immense damage and chaos, solely for the purpose of appeasing and gratifying the individual who held the highest position in American foreign affairs. This was because this prominent figure had previously uttered a completely unfounded and utterly irrelevant statement declaring that if the Iranian government were to undertake specific actions or policies, he would personally intervene and provide unwavering support to certain factions or outcomes, thereby inciting these destructive behaviors. These disruptive rioters and genuinely harmful individuals, just because these disruptive rioters and truly harmful people within the country, their fervent hopes are entirely pinned on him. If he is indeed capable, then he should absolutely be allowed to fix his very own country. In his own country, there are so many significant incidents and pressing problems constantly happening. causing widespread concern. His hands are stained with the blood of more than 1,000 Iranians. In the 12-day war, over 1,000 of our compatriots, aside from commanders, scientists, and prominent figures, ordinary people were martyred. This person said, "I gave the orders I commanded during the war." After a period of intense internal deliberation and the undeniable weight of his conscience, he ultimately decided to reveal the truth. With a sense of profound relief and a quiet yet firm resolve, he confessed himself fully and without reservation, acknowledging his involvement in the matter. This significant admission marked a turning point as he laid bare the details of his actions and the circumstances that led to them, finally unburdening himself of the secrets he had carried. Everyone should know and fully understand that the Islamic Republic, a truly sovereign and independent nation, came to power through the immense sacrifice and precious blood of several 100,000 honorable, courageous, and dedicated people. And it will absolutely not back down or yield in the face of those who threaten the very existence and foundational principles of the Islamic Republic. It will absolutely not tolerate serving foreign interests or agendas. No matter who you truly are, if you become a mercenary for foreign powers, if you actively work for outsiders against the very nation itself, then there will be severe consequences. It does not tolerate serving foreign interests, no matter who you are. If you become a mercenary for foreigners, if you work for outsiders, the nation rejects you, and the Islamic system also rejects you. This applies to those people, that guy. Consider the individual who sits there, so arrogantly and with such profound pride, constantly passing harsh judgment upon the entire world, without any true understanding or empathy. That guy who sits there arrogantly and pridefully passing judgment on the whole world, he should also know that usually the world's tyrants and oppressors like Pharaoh, Nimrod, Reza Khan, and all the Rezas and their ilk, when they were at the height of their arrogance, they were overthrown.
But what made things even worse in Iran, and how did the U.S. come into the picture again? Let's go back to December 28th, 2025. When it all started again in the Islamic Republic. Since December 28th, a lot has changed in Iran. Protests have turned ugly. Public outrage has grown over the government's failure to curb inflation, while authorities have turned to every possible means to suppress protesting voices. In a recent turn of events, on the night of January 8th, Iranian authorities shut down internet access and blocked international phone calls as a protest organized by exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi prompted large crowds to shout from their windows and pour into the streets. Protesters shouted slogans such as "Death to the Dictator" and "Death to the Islamic Republic," while others expressed support for the Shah, chanting, "This is the final fight. Pahlavi will return." Thousands filled the streets before communications across Iran were cut. The exiled Crown Prince, on January 7th, even urged Iran's security forces to side with the people and called for more protests as unrest over economic hardship continues.
Fellow countrymen, over the past few days I have closely followed your protests and marches, especially today in the Tehran Bazaar. Despite the regime's repression, your perseverance is admirable. And you have surely noticed that the crowd's density forces the security forces to retreat and increases the likelihood of defections to your side. Therefore, it is important to maintain this discipline and breadth. Today, I am sharing my first call to action with you, and I invite you all to start chanting slogans this Thursday and Friday, the 18th and 19th of day, at exactly 8 p.m., whether in the streets or even from your own homes. As a result of the feedback from these actions, I will announce the next calls to action to you.
So far, violence surrounding the protests has claimed the lives of 42 people, while more than 2,270 others are in detention, according to the US-based human rights activist news agency. Hence, here comes the savior. US President Donald Trump on January 2nd cautioned Iran's leadership against using lethal force on peaceful demonstrators, saying the United States would come to their rescue. In a short social media post, he added that Washington was locked and loaded and ready to go, without offering further explanation. In interviews on January 8th, Trump again warned Iran that it would pay hell if protesters were harmed, and claimed that Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei may be preparing to flee the country. "It's getting very bad," Trump said.